Perfect.
Okay. Hello, everyone. And hi, Jeanette. How are you?
Good morning. How are you this fine day?
I'm doing well. So I'd like to just mention we are happy to have you here on the Elevate Exchange Epic Broadcast podcast. And I know I'm kind of in the way of the sign. So there we go for everybody. But as everyone knows, or if you don't know, Elevate Exchange is a community of leaders such as Jeanette and her peers in the industry across technology in general. So all technology, including cybersecurity. And that group has been great about sharing and being part of discussions that are driving things forward and advancing as we look at everything that we are responsible for in our respective careers. So Jeanette, Wayne, welcome with us today. So for those who don't know you, give us a little bit of information. Tell us about yourself and what you've been up to lately.
So I am a chief information officer, a chief program officer, and a management consultant. So of late, I've been working with a couple of clients to help them implement new systems from an enterprise perspective, building a new enterprise architecture, a new enterprise model, and helping them select tools and deploy them. So it's good fun. I've met some amazing people on this journey. It's been fabulous.
And you must have some amazing stories as well.
Oh, every now and again, there are some good stories, which I'm sure you have as well.
Yes, we all do. So, okay, Jeanette, we're here to talk about the 2 R's, right? What do we mean by that? Reward and recognition. I know it's, we probably get tired of saying it, and we all say it each time we get together, but we talk about the big 3 things, right? In companies, right? People, process, technology, emphasis on people. And a lot of things in life can seem so simple, right? Like drinking our, 8 ounces of water every day, breathing, everything else. But sometimes those simple things get lost or we forget about them, right? So I know our conversation today, we really wanted to focus on, let's get back to kind of the basics and look at the people, recognition and rewards. So when you think through what that means to you and some of the things that you've implemented in your career as a leader to keep your people, retain the talent and keep them motivated at their jobs, help kick us off on a little bit of some of the things that you've seen work well and what you think can.
For me, it starts with making sure that you know your people. What is it that they like? What is it that they want? Some people enjoy public recognition. Some people prefer it to be private. People enjoy things. Some people prefer time. Some people prefer dollars. Some others prefer straight up gratitude. And knowing about those people, you also have to carefully select your timing. Because just because you think it's an opportune time to go to a ball game or to go to a training session doesn't necessarily mean that it is. So it's important to select your timing, not during hectic periods, both personally and professionally. So I think those basic tenets are where a leader really should jump off, knowing their people. And then I think there are 6 different ways that you can recognize people. And you'll have to tell me if I've missed anything or if there's something to add to the conversation. So there's compensation, there's promotion, there's award, there's straight up gratitude and thank you, there's training, and there's mentoring. And for my money, those are the 6 ways that I know how to recognize someone for an outstanding achievement. So you want to go through them one by one, or did I miss anything? Let's start. Did I miss anything?
No, let's go through them one by one. But I guess question for you though. Sure. It's one thing when you think about you as the leader, right? Recognizing these people and these individuals. But if we can also talk about how do we help others in the company recognize them as they're growing in their career or advancing, right? I think that's going to be a key element too.
Absolutely. And actually, it's embedded in two of the subordinate categories that I gave you, because I think exactly the same thing. So if you think about the most basic thing that you can do for people is adjust their compensation. And that can take the form of base and bonus. And as a starting point, it means as a leader, you've got to take a look at the job families, the job descriptions, and the pay ranges and make sure that they are market competitive and aligned. So, and then knowing what that human being is going to value most, right? So sometimes people prefer to get comp time over bonus money. Or dollars to go and take their family for a meal. So that's one way that you can tackle that. Another way is to engage them in promotion when it's time. So that falls back on using those job families and the responsibilities, the additive projects that you're using to help this individual grow and expand, to help them build a career path. And promotion is among that. So making sure the job descriptions are appropriately market aligned so that when you put a person into a new title or a new position, that they're well equipped to both handle the base responsibilities and grow into those positions, and that you have prepared them to be successful. Because you don't want to put somebody in a space where they can't, where they're not ready yet. So again, about timing. When you're recognizing somebody on a project basis or for achievement of their goals, there are also awards that you can offer. Sometimes those are company based. Sometimes you can pursue things that are industry based, where somebody can be recognized in information security, in business consulting, as a CIO, to be recognized by your peers. Or you can also chase an award system by a company that does benchmarking, so that you help the company get recognition while the individual's getting recognition. And there's also such a thing as a team award. And I'll give you a couple of examples. We were implementing a new entire enterprise model, and that included the ERP, the CRM, and the HRIS system, along with 4 custom applications. And so the awards that I gave the team, actually, I equated it to like the London Underground with all of, have you ever seen a London Underground map?
Yeah.
It's got like 72 colors on it. I don't know how anybody ever finds their way through London
No,
on the Underground, but
yeah.
I bought them all coffee mugs with the London Underground map on it.
That's hilarious.
Because they were building pathways to drive the business, and it was fabulous, the work that they did. Another thing that I did was I gave somebody a Waterford Panda.
Wow.
Because what they had done was so unique and special that a panda was the rarest thing I could think of.
Very clever.
And I was delighted that the individual who got it kept it, posted it on LinkedIn. So it obviously meant something. And that made me feel good. It made me feel good for him. And his wife particularly enjoyed it. So I'm not sure that he still is in possession of the panda, but be that as it may. For every project, for every initiative, for every objective that gets achieved, there's also thank you. I appreciate you. Great job. And genuine gratitude. There's nothing like genuine gratitude.
Isn't it funny how simple as 2 words can go so far, and how people actually will never forget if they don't hear those 2 words in some circumstances, and that can really shape their perspective going forward on individuals and circumstances.
Absolutely.
2 words.
Yes. And A thank you note that is personalized and specific to the individual also goes a long way. I worked for a lady named Janine when I was implementing a global SAP environment, and I still have the thank you note that she wrote because it was specific to what I had done, it was unique to me, and it was heartfelt.
You reminded me of something with that being said. You're right, because I think the day and age of having a personalized note of thanks, having someone say thank you, taking the time, it takes a couple seconds, right? But people forget it in the day to day. And then when you send that note that you can tell is very genuine, I have actually, over my time in my career, taken those thank you notes, whether if they've been written and sent to me, which that goes even further, right, in the digital age, and or emailed to me. I forward them and keep them and send them to my personal email, because what happens is we all have it, right? Along in our career, we have moments of either imposter syndrome or we're just like not feeling great about something. But when you refer back, and I don't know if others do this, but it has helped me refer back to those notes and see and hear what people say about you and how they took that time and give you that appreciation. It is sometimes it's the motivation we need or the reminder, right? And it also helps us to propel forward in terms of doing that in our own careers with our employees.
Absolutely. In addition to those private thank you notes or team thank you notes or themed thank you notes, there's also public recognition. When something is big enough to have impacted the bottom line of the company, a little public recognition, assuming that that individual embraces such things, is also a good thing. A note from the CEO or the CFO about how it progressed, mention of it during a town hall about the accomplishments of the team is just a wonderful thing. Or sometimes when I write team thank you notes, I have had my peers also sign those along with me so that that individual knows that other people also noticed. It's amazing how good it makes a human being feel to hear, great job, wonderful work, thank you so much, I appreciate you, well done. And people underestimate that.
Yeah.
And the thing that's amazing to me is it's almost free.
Oh, it's yeah, virtually free. You're right.
Yeah, except for postage if you're mailing something.
Right.
It's virtually free. All it takes is a little bit of time and
Yeah.
a little imagination to make that thank you note really align to the project and speak to the individual.
It's true, but it goes such a long way, especially I think, I mean, there are studies out there that look at performance in, I mean, you can think about it across any career, right? Whether it's athletes, the world of tech. And I mean, it's all been instilled in us since we were kids, right? You reward people for the good behavior, you enforce that, you say thank you, you just take that human touch and focus on the people. And it truly does result in, I think, higher performance, higher levels of, happiness in their jobs, and they want to do more, right? I know. Did you feel that way when someone goes out of their way to thank you? You want to figure out how can I do more for them,
It's
for the
energizing.
my employees, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's energizing. It's
Yeah.
invigorating.
And that's contagious.
And it is.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely is contagious. So if we shift gears from the basic thank you, some other things that you can do for people are to involve them in training.
Yes,
So
that's a big one.
first, making time for it, making it available, budgeting for it, providing opportunities for them to attend higher level meetings so that they can observe the behaviors that are going on in the room and how people are talking about things. Providing them an opportunity to job shadow or giving them projects that they can use to stretch and build skills. recommending readings and videos so that they can grow and expand their perspective are all things that you can make available to your people. And hopefully some of them are free.
What about
I mean,
sending them to events, right?
Yep, absolutely. That was absolutely. Functional community meetings, getting them introduced to other companies, other thinking, which I put in the category of mentoring.
Yes, that's a big one.
So mentoring is when a leader invests in their crew, in the individual, to help them with cross training, with teaching them new disciplines, new methods, new process to expand perspective, providing support to them when they are tackling something that is a little difficult. Sometimes all you have to do is sit there and listen.
Yep.
To support them and to help them with brainstorming one-on-one. Well, could you do this? Can you tackle it this way? Taking them to things like Elevate Xchange so that they can experience other professionals, and offering them that one-to-one time where they can ask questions, where they can talk about what they're worrying after. All of those things are ways that you invest in your people and you reward your people for stretching themselves out for you. Let's face it, without our crew, there is no delivery.
No, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, and it wasn't built by one person.
Absolutely, it wasn't. And if you take care of the crew, they'll take care of your customers and they'll take care of you.
Exactly.
And I firmly, firmly believe that.
So
I think go ahead.
I was just going to say, I like how you mentioned, and before we kind of go on to the next one, compensation first, right? And then training. And I mean, those are both investments. They're different type of investments to some degree. And it was interesting because I do want to share this. And I think there's many cases where maybe a lot of us can relate to this, or we've been in that position and we view it this way. And I think it's important to note, but probably a couple years ago, I actually was working with a group of, they were students of different ages, right? Different ages, different levels in their career, but they were all trying to transition into cyber. And these were folks that were varying in ages. And I said to them, if you had to choose a job with more money, but that did not give you the leverage and the capability to be trained and upskilled, or you had a job where maybe it didn't pay as much as you wanted, but you knew there was room to get the promotion. And then also you would get that investment in the upskilling and the training from your hiring manager. How do you feel about that? What would you choose? And all of them said 100% the one that would give them the investment and the training over money. And I think that's key. That's important, right? Because that goes back to, what do we all need to succeed in our jobs? What are we all looking for? And it's not always about the money.
That's very true. There's also connecting people.
Yes.
There are times as a leader where you're going to have somebody who is just outstanding, and it's really time for them to go and spread their wings and go to a different company. And as a leader, it's your responsibility to provide them with those opportunities to do that and to open those pathways to connect them with other companies and other leaders so that they can stretch themselves out and grow. You're not always going to be able to provide them with the opportunity that they need to make the next jump or to achieve the goals. And it goes back to knowing your people. When is it time? And
that's a really good point.
You're only as good as your best human being. And as a leader, it's your responsibility to make those opportunities available to people, to set them up to be successful so that they can improve their lives. Because let's face it, you hope that people aren't, just working. You want them to work to live and to build a better life for their families. And reward and recognition is a part of that.
Well said. I love that.
Okay.
I don't know that everyone thinks about that, right? But to be the type of leader that can see when that person on your team has reached their potential, but also, and depending on the company, the size, or what's available at the time, when they can't go anywhere, right? You don't want them to hit that roadblock and then be pigeonholed in their career because of it. But I think it speaks volumes about the characteristic and the strength and the confidence in a leader to recognize that and help that person beyond your company to move out and spread their wings. I think that's huge.
Absolutely. There's one human being who I actually connected with a peer from 30 years ago.
Wow.
At a university. And I sent that human being to go speak to her class as a way to recognize and to give them a way to stretch themselves out. And it benefited my friend, and it benefited, the human who was asked to go and do that. And it was a big university too.
Oh, you just reminded me of something. It's you talked about timing for things, right?
Yes.
I think that's also important. I mean, as you grow through the ranks in your career, right, and reach that C title, right, you tend to try to get out there more with the speaking opportunities, right? And I think it takes a really good leader to realize too, when do they need to share that and pass that down to their, team members, to give them the opportunity, right? That's important to know and recognize too.
It is. It really is. So it boils down to knowing your people, knowing what they enjoy and what they would appreciate, and carefully selecting your timing, and then choosing one of the pathways that leaders have available to them, some of which cost money and some of which don't. And oddly enough, the ones that don't cost money are usually the ones that stick. Those are the ones that people remember, because money disappears, but how you made somebody feel never goes away. It's absolutely bankable.
100%.
But you got to mean it. It's got to be genuine. It can't be a fake thing.
No,
because people remember that too.
Yeah.
You ever work for somebody who always said thank you, but you knew they didn't mean it?
Oh, 100%. It's like the words were not reflective of the actions, and it was people can tell when it's not genuine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As can family and friends.
Exactly. Yes.
So
yeah,
you can't fake your way in. You've got to actually mean it.
I mean, if you think about these, what you just shared, right? It definitely goes back to those characteristics that we see and we read. I was reading something earlier this morning, right? So I just want to call out, they did mention the 5 characteristics of leadership, right? So the first one they started with was, I like this one, willingness to ask for help. I think that does show that regardless of our position, age, career, wherever, we are in the ranks, even the CEOs of companies need to know when to ask for help. That's why they have an entire team, right? A board of advisors, their executive team. And then the next one was empathy, right? And a lot of what you talked about, empathy has to be behind it. Because again, we're focused on the humans as people, right? The care that you need to put forth, not just in their careers, but in them personally. And then 3 was the positive energy and passion, right? I think, again, a lot of that passion and positive energy can stem from how they're treated in their career.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I totally agree.
Yeah, it really is. And then a 4th one, this was an interesting one, but an unbiased eye for potential, right? And kind of what you mentioned back to knowing when someone has reached their highest point at the company and they have more potential, how do you help them then beyond the company to go spread their wings, right? And then the fifth one, curiosity. And I think when you're curious in someone's life and show that you care in their personal life and well-being beyond, the work, that goes, people remember that too, right?
Yes, they
Because
do.
we all have things outside of the work walls that, we need to tend to, and it's not just work, 24/7.
Absolutely. And making sure that you have people's backs when they have something, they have a child who's sick, or they have a parent who needs attention, or a spouse, or perhaps they are not well themselves. Making sure that that team has that guy's back is important, so
Yeah,
that they can take care of themselves, take care of their families, and, do what they need to do.
exactly.
I worked for somebody who described a work team as a work family, and I honest to God believe that.
Me too.
Um, there's nothing like it, and when a team feels genuinely recognized, rewarded, and appreciated is when they hit high performing strides, when they beat their business plan, when they achieve huge amounts of additional productivity, when they make quantum leaps that benefit the bottom line. So, for all you leaders who are thinking there's no return on investment to this, you couldn't be more wrong.
Oh, and I think we
This-
all have examples when we've been in those positions and we have gotten the complete opposite of what you've shared that makes a good leader. And how many of us, I'll raise my hand, leave that person, that leader, and the company.
Absolutely.
We maybe liked the job, but if we're not invested in by the leader, peace out.
Absolutely. All true.
Yeah.
So, tell me your favorite example of recognition that really hit the mark for you.
Oh, okay, you're making me think.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, I'll tell you. It was a couple years ago. Was it that long ago? 2 to 3 years ago. I was actually just new to a role in a company after being in a toxic work environment for a few years. And so I think I was getting out of that,
Getting rid of the
the
PTSD.
cloud and the PTSD. Yeah, exactly. Although I don't want to say PTSD lightly, but yes, some
Yes.
existed. And this, I think I was just in shock because it had been so long since I had been treated from a leader the way I was, in such a good way. And the recognition for me was when there was a conference coming up with a very interesting panel. The topic was very interesting too. And I thought for sure he was going to speak on it. He was invited. And instead he called me up and he said, "You need to speak on that panel." And I said, "Why me? They asked you." And he said, "Well, you need the opportunity. You have to grow and let me help elevate you." And so he connected me with the group, and some of them were C-suite, and he gave that to me. And the words he said to them to position me, I will never forget that recognition and how that has helped me in my career, because it was huge. And I was not given those opportunities previous to that. And it literally changed my career.
Oh, that's
And that
wonderful.
was, for me, that was the most memorable one. Again, it wasn't monetary based, right? It wasn't any sort of a, tangible gift item or anything, but it was just the act of what he did to help position me in my career by giving me that opportunity. So I think sometimes the opportunities that are given can be the form of recognition when they do that in front of people. So that was my biggest one. Tell us about yours. What was your most
How
memorable?
about if I give you the converse first?
Okay, go ahead.
Absolute worst recognition that I ever had. I'm not much of a sports aficionado.
Mhm.
And I had a leader twice give me tickets to championship. One was a basketball game, and by the way, I'm from Detroit, so
Oh,
you can imagine how long ago this was.
oh yeah.
And one was for football. ESPN has film of me sound asleep behind the bench at a football game. No bueno. I'm not a football fan. I know sacrilege, especially living in Texas, but I don't enjoy football. And I'm not much of a basketball fan either. And so I finally had to go and tell my leaders, I appreciate that you offered these to me, and I know how expensive they are. But I think you, me, and the company would be better suited if you offered it to somebody else who was going to enjoy and be excited about getting these. And so then we sat down and we had a meaningful conversation about what I valued. And I enjoyed that conversation. It was good fun. In addition, and I felt bad having to tell him, hey, this isn't for me. But there's something really sacrilege about taking a $500 ticket and taking a nap. That's just wrong.
No, I get that, but you know what you just kind of called out that makes a lot of sense, right? And it's important to ask the question and understand this, but understand the person, what they like, what they don't like, what they want, right? Because can you remember a time, and I do, it was from a manager at the time, and it was during the interview process, and they said to me, what do you want to do in your career, and what do you want out of this? And that's so important when they start asking about you and what you want, right?
It is. And out of all the recognition events that I ever got, the best one actually came from Lisa, a leader I worked for, who it was a sticky note. And Lisa's penmanship is about this big, so you got to definitely put your glasses on.
Yeah.
But it was the most lovely thank you note, just on a sticky.
Oh,
And
did you save it?
Oh yeah, it's in my drawer.
Yeah.
I still have it. So it doesn't have to take a lot of monetary investment to delight someone, to make it memorable. And for my money, the best recognition events also forge a connection. It strengthens your bond with those human beings. I still talk to all of those people.
Yeah.
Literally. And I don't know about you, but some of my relationships go back 45 years.
Yeah. Well, even to your point, right? For someone to be able to say, well, I know, Jeanette, you don't like sports, but I know you like dogs, right? It's just that personal, oh, you know me, right? You get
Yeah.
me. Yeah. Like I know one of my colleagues, he loves, like he's obsessed with ice cream. So I always joke when he says, okay, well, yeah, I'll, if we have to travel together, whatever. I said, let me guess, we're going to have an ice cream stop. He's like, you remembered, right? That sticks with people when they remember things about you, right? It does. It forges that bond closer and tighter. And again, the tight-knit family, the work family, right? Because you do sometimes spend more times with your colleagues than you do your family during the work week. It goes a long ways.
Absolutely. One of the people who worked for me had a thing for Mexican food.
Oh, I do.
And a favorite place. So every time we went to lunch, every time we needed to talk about something, that's what we did, was we went for Mexican food.
Nice.
And I'd spend the afternoon with heartburn. But
okay, so
by God, we went for Mexican food.
No sports, no Mexican food when we
No, I love Mexican food. It just doesn't like me.
Oh, yeah.
But, knowing your people, carefully choosing your timing, and understanding the things that they value are your key. And as we said, there's 6 pathways. There's compensation, there's promotion, there's awards, there's thank you, which should probably be the most prevalent tool in your toolbox. There's training, and there's mentoring. So leaders, give it your all. It's the best investment you'll ever make.
I was just going
Did
to
I miss anything, dear?
I was just going to ask if you wanted to wrap up with any other points. I love that last one. Leaders, give it your all. It's the best investment you'll ever make.
Absolutely. It is. Okay, Sunshine, what do you think? Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. So Jeanette, I want to thank you so much again for coming on and sharing the R's, the reward and recognition, how we can all be better leaders to have that team that feels like a family for us and giving it your all. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Leah, thank you so much for your time and attention. It was a good time. We'll have to do this again. We'll pick something else.
We definitely will.